I feel like I'm channeling my inner Blair Waldorf today. Even though I'm not sure if she would be a Taylor Swift fan. Hi, hello, and welcome everybody to fall. And with that, my fall book recommendations and my fall TBR. Today we're gonna go over books that I think you should read this fall and books that I think I should read this fall. The books that I think I should read this fall could also be books that you should read in fall. I just can't vouch for them. I can't say they're good. The books I'm gonna show you though, they're all good, and I'm gonna explain to you what will happen. Of course, as always, spoiler free and with a lot of enthusiasm. Because they're books. Let's jump straight in to all the books that I would recommend you for fall. We are starting with a book that I've recently seen kind of blow up on TikTok. I've had this book for a good year and I finally read it like a month ago. This is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe. It's a cute fall romance. It's a small town kind of thing where she owns this cafe and she's kind of new in town, and then things are going wrong with the cafe, alright? Things are not working out as they should be. So one morning she accidentally bumps into the guy who's delivering pumpkins because he's a local farmer, and he's like, what are these noises you hear? And so the two of them then kind of get together to figure out what's happening and where these noises are coming from. Slowly turn into friends, slowly turning into more. It's adorable, it's cute. If you're looking for a fall romance, this one is amazing. It's gonna be great, you're gonna love it. Alright? Like, how could you not? Fall is the season for falling in love. It's cheesy, I know, but it is. And why fall in love with a person when you could fall in love with a good book? I think that should be my life motto, actually. This is fun. You should definitely pick it up. Next up, we're sticking with the romance, and we're going to business casual. Now, if you've seen my reading vlog, this one, you know I love this book. Absolutely. This was a 5-star read for me. This was so amazing. This is the 4th book in the Love Light Farm series. The only reason I'm not telling you to read the entire Love Light Farm series for this video is because the first book is a Christmas book. I'm not a person to discriminate against Christmas books, but I know that some people here, I'm not naming names, alright? Just, if you know, you know. They are under the impression that Christmas books are purely reserved for Christmas. In case you don't feel like that, you can read this entire series and feel welcome and cozy in a small town where everybody just meddles a little too much. They have this cute phone tree. This is a series of interconnected standalones as we love it. So technically you can read each book on their own. However, I think you should start with the first book, which is Love Light Farms, and then slowly make your way through the books, and then read this one last, because you're gonna get a few slight spoilers of who ends up with who when you start with the last book. Not that it's any surprise, because it is a romance and it's on the back. If you don't want any spoilers, start with the first one. If you don't care, this is my favorite one. It just is. And it's giving fall. So, I love it. I haven't told you what it's about, I just told you that it's great. This is small town romance with two kind of enemy-ish people, but he has been obsessed with her for years, and he just comes to the small town every now and again. He's like a businessman from New York. It's adorable. I love seeing all of the family members of like the different families that are involved in this like show up again and again. I had a blast reading this book, and it was one of the most fun experiences I've had. If you want the romance, but you also want a little bit of magic, a little bit of supernatural, how about you try The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. This, honestly, one of my favorite romances to read for Halloween. I've actually reread this book last year for Halloween, and I'm thinking of rereading it again, or like listening to the audiobook again, just because it's so good, it's so adorable. We have our main character, Florence, and Florence is a ghostwriter for this author, and she gets a new editor. But then something happens in her family, she has to go home, and suddenly this editor is on her doorstep, but he's dead. He's a ghost because Florence can see ghosts. Her family has an undertaking business, so she has to deal with some stuff. She has to plan a funeral, and she then also has to figure out why this guy is a ghost and what happened to him. And they also kind of have a lot of chemistry and have to figure out what's going on with him and if they can actually have a happy ending. And especially if you're trying to get like into fantasy, I think this is the perfect book to start out, because the fantasy elements are so subtle, but they're still there. But the romance is still the primary focus of the book. Essentially, all of Ashley Poston's books are kind of like that. They all have this magical aspect to their romance. However, this is one that screams fall in particular because of the vibes and because of everything, really. It's a fall book. Like, what else are we expecting? Now we are moving into fantasy territory, because fall is the season for reading dark fairy tales and reading dark fantasy books. A little bit of dark academia sprinkled on top of everything, making it one big, large, grand cake. I love this. So, the next book is Belladonna. This is kind of like a dark academia fantasy novel where our female main character has the powers of death. We don't know exactly why, but she has the powers of death. This poor woman is probably traumatized. She is sent away from her family to live with somebody else because our family kind of died. It has a huge romantic plotline, so if you're still looking for that romance, you're gonna find it here, because let's be honest, why would we read books without romance? I don't know. Okay, I like my romance in my books. It's a young adult fantasy though, so no spice. We don't need that. Not every book you read needs to have spice in it. This is fun and cute and adorable. I have yet to read the second book, but I'm imagining it's gonna be great as well. I might actually have to put that on my own agenda. Anyway, let's continue with another great fall romance. I feel like Cemetery Boys was written to be read in fall. This is, again, on a graveyard. Of course, that's not hard to guess when the title of the book is Cemetery Boys. Anyway, I think the first line of the blurb sums it up perfectly. Yadriel has summoned a ghost, and now he can't get rid of him. So, Yadriel is in this family where the males in his family, they can all summon ghosts on Halloween, and then they talk to them, and then they, like, figure out what's gonna happen next for the community. So Yadriel is a transgender boy, so his whole family is like, you know what, I don't think you can do this because biologically, and blah 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 blah, and they're just like being not nice people to him, so he's like, I'm gonna do it myself. So he accidentally summons a ghost. That ghost just happens to be the ghost of his classmate, and he's just like there. And the two of them are then trying to figure out what happened to his classmate. They're trying to figure out what happens in this family because something is off. They're also trying to prove to this family that yes, he can summon ghosts. It's great. It's an awesome piece of work. It is a book about a trans main character written by a trans author, and I love that, and it's so good, and it just screams Halloween. It's giving the fall vibes. It's amazing, and I think you should all read this book. It's so good, especially with October right around the corner. The next book I have is also about ghosts. If I Have to Be Haunted. Similar preface as the two before, we have our female main character who can see ghosts. That's her magical power. She sees ghosts, and then there's this classmate of hers again, who she's supposed to have a project with, but in the woods she stumbles upon his body, and then she tries to find his ghost so that they can figure out what happened to him, and so they can save his life. He's not necessarily dead, he's just dying. For some reason, this book was transporting me back into like 2014 when I used to read a lot of these books. I would say this is probably the book that I have in here that is targeted towards the youngest audience, but I read this at 23, so you can still read it. It's fun, it's good, it's cozy, it looks beautiful. This is a great book to just read this fall. It's gonna be cozy, it's gonna be easy to understand. Overall, great, and giving you this 2014 feeling, which sometimes that is exactly what I want in a book. Moving away from the ghosts, witches I feel like are one of the best things to read about in fall, just because they're cozy, they have magic. I have more witchy books, but I'm just gonna show you this one because this is one that I recently read and it was so good. This is The Spell Shop. So we have our female main character who is a librarian. She's a librarian in this incredible big library, but the country where she lives, it's at war and the library is burning down. So she grabs a few spell books and she runs away. However, magic is kind of illegal, except if you're like a person who's been trained to do magic. So she runs away with all these spell books that she saves from this fire in the library to her home island, where she hasn't been since she was a little child. She comes back to this island and she sets up a little spell shop to survive. However, in order to hide the fact that she has a spell shop, she makes it a gem shop. So she sells jam. It's adorable. It's cute. It's one of the cutest books I've read. She has a sidekick that is a spider plant. One of these guys. I think we need more magical sidekicks in our life that are inanimate objects. She also has a pet cactus who talks. He says meep. His name is Meep. It's fun. But she also meets a guy on this island who is a local kind of, I want to say fisherman, but he trains mare horses. So like hippocampi. I think that's the plural of hippocampus. I'm not sure. This whole town, it's giving small town romance, but with magic, and it's just adorable. It's just overall very, very magical, and I had a great, great time reading it. It was so much fun, and I think you should read it too this fall. And then lastly, if you don't want any magic, but you want a little bit of mystery, I usually would say read a thriller. I don't really enjoy thrillers very much, so I can't actually recommend you any good thrillers. But if you can recommend me good thrillers, please do. I'm here for the thriller recommendations, alright? Just give me some that have a little bit of romance in there as well. Now, if you do want a little bit of mystery, however, how about you read Stalking Jack the Ripper? This is amazing. We are in 1888. You can always remember 1888 is the year of Jack the Ripper. And he's going around in London, and our female main character, she is trying to figure out who Jack the Ripper is. She's an apprentice in forensics. It's amazing. She sees all of these bodies, and she then tries to figure out what they have in common, who Jack the Ripper is, and what his deal is. It's so good. The entire series was so good. There's 4 books in that series. This is the first one. And if you've not read them, maybe this is your sign to actually pick them up. They're adorable, they're cute, they have a romantic subplot. I would personally say it's not the biggest part of the book, but it's still a pretty significant part of it, is still just like her romance with her forensics partner, who is like, he's with her the entire time. It's incredible. They figure stuff out together. It's a little bit of Sherlock Holmes, but in Victorian England, and she's a girl. It's so cool. I love this so much. And that was the last recommendation. Now let's move on to the TBR part of me for this. There are still some recommendations in here because some of these are the second book. Starting with Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands. This is the second book to Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, which I think is also a great book to read this fall, which is why I am reading the second book this fall. You already know that I will. Alright, this is the plan. This is the mission. This is what I want to read. I don't exactly know what's going to be going on in this one. In the first one, we have Emily Wilde, who is a researcher, and she travels to this island where she believes the fairy folk live to do research on them. And it's just such a mystical and magical concept of a story that you're just like enamored with it. You're enamored with the world, you're enamored with her. I loved her. She was so cool. So I'm really excited to see where the storyline is gonna take her, because I want to know. I want to know what's gonna happen. This edition is beautiful, it's stunning, it's my pride and joy, and I am obsessed. Alright, for the next book, this just got here, okay? I think this book came out like yesterday, 2 days ago. It's not been long. I need to get rid of this sticker. I have the signed Waterstones exclusive edition of Rewitched by Lucy Jane Wood. This is a witchy, cozy romance, Like your classic Halloween kind of story of witches, and it just looks so perfect. In this story we follow Belladonna, who is a witch, but she's never really used her magic much. She works at a bookstore in London. She has a very cozy life, but then on her 30th birthday she gets summoned by her coven to perform in a kind of trial in order to prove that she's worthy of her magic. So she's very scared that she's actually going to lose her magic, and I think that's what's kind of going on. It's gonna be cute. I'm probably gonna enjoy this a lot. I've just seen the cover and I've seen the sprayed edges and I was like, I need this. I don't have any other explanation. Honestly, when I ordered the book, I didn't even know what was happening. I just saw the cover and I was like, say less. I will get it. This is the most stunning cover I've seen in a while. I am super duper obsessed with it. Whoever designed this cover did such a good job. I will probably read this on the first really cold, gloomy day, like next week or something. I'm gonna be here, sitting here, reading this book, and I'm gonna have a fun time. Sticking with the fun, cozy, witchy stories, I'm gonna be trying to read The Kiss Curse. This is the second book, technically, in the X-Hex series. The preface of this book is that our female main character, she has a magic shop in her little town. Everything's going great. And then this new guy moves into town to open up his own magic shop, and now they're rivaling. I have a feeling it's gonna be like a little bit of an enemies or like rivals to lovers. I can only imagine how fun this is gonna be. I'm here for it. I can see and smell the romance. Also, this is a tiny book. It has, I don't know, 300 pages on the dot almost. So this is gonna be fun. I'm going to enjoy this book thoroughly. I'm gonna have like a fun time, a good time, a blast. I don't know what I want to tell you, but I'm very excited to finally read this book. Next up is a book that's relatively new to my TBR, although it's not new to the world. We have The Unfortunate Side Effects of Heartbreak and Magic by Brianne Randall. This is also a small town witchy story, I believe. I'm not sure on the small town part, but I am sure on the witchy part. It also says for fans of practical magic and Gilmore Girls. If this does not scream fall at you, I don't know what will. We have our main character Sadie, and Sadie believes that she is cursed. In order to like have her magic, she is cursed with 4 heartbreaks that will like be in her life. So when her grandma gets sick, she sees this as the first heartbreak, but then her ex, I think, or like a person that was very important to her, Jake rolls back into town after being gone for 10 years and turns her entire life upside down. And in the end, she has to decide what's more important, love or magic. And honestly, it sounds really good. It sounds also kind of sad. I'm not sure how I feel about the grandma storyline because that's just it's very sad. It's very like close to my heart. I don't like it. I lost my grandma last year around Halloween. It's not fun, but maybe this will kind of heal my little broken heart. I don't know, but I would absolutely love to find out what's happening. I am excited to read it. I just want to be cozied up in bed with this book, reading about little witchy stuff. Honestly, I'm just super excited for fall. It's my favorite season. And I'm excited for this book. And then the last book so far on my fall TBR specifically is The Foxglove King. This is a chunky book. She is thick. She has seen some things in her life, but she's also very dark. So a female main character in the beginning of the book escapes from a cult in the catacombs. So she's like down below. So then she tries to run away, but her magic kind of keeps her tethered to the city. But her only goal is to not get found by this cult again. Because honestly, they're probably gonna do some weird little ritual on her. Maybe she won't survive. We don't know. We don't know, alright? So, while she's running away, she then gets captured by the king. I'm guessing he's probably the Foxglove King. She gets caught by the king, and he has other plans for her. And I am just excited to see where this is going. I'm also very excited to finally read a book again where the main character is my age. Because she is 23. So I'm like, really excited and here for it. Although I should read it before November, because in November I will be 24. Anyway, this is a book that I've been wanting to read for a while. The second book in that series is The Hemlock Queen. I'm also very excited to read that. These books are stunning. They're beautiful. They're the Fairyloot exclusive editions of the book. I think the original covers look a little bit different, but I'm obsessed with these, and I will finish this book. I will read it, finish it, and probably enjoy it. That's the plan. And that's also the last book on my fall TBR. Now, for my monthly TBRs, I'm probably gonna pick up a few more books, but they probably won't be fall themed because, let's be honest, sometimes you don't need a fall book. Sometimes you need other books, but we'll come to that when the time is right. So until now, please let me know what books you want to read this fall. If any of the books I showed you are on that list, I'm gonna feel great, honestly. I always love inspiring people to read books. It makes me a little happy. It makes my heart go a little pitter-patter and makes me just like smile all day. So please tell me all about them if you read them. And if you enjoyed this video, consider leaving a like and following me if you don't already. And I will see you for the next video that I make. Have a good day, everybody, and goodbye. Also, in case you're wondering why the bookshelf looks different, that video is coming on Saturday, so if you want to see the reorganization, you have to wait a little while. But until then, I'll see you soon. Goodbye!